Okay, guys, by now you will have seen U substitution yesterday with the normal exponents. Hopefully you've checked your answers. And this is where if you have some trouble, I do need you to contact me, or at least find a way where we can maybe meet on Zoom or Google Hangouts so I can kind of help you with this, because this is going to be the topic that finishes up our year. So we begin here with example 1, and here's the key, here's the tip. You have to rewrite this as a fractional exponent. So I'm going to rewrite this as 3 minus 4x squared to the 1/3 power negative 8x dx. Now, again, remember, it's called U substitution for a reason, because we're going to have to select one of these expressions as our U. And you want to choose the inside expression. In other words, I want to choose the thing that is inside, right? So that's going to be 3 minus 4x squared this time. U equals 3 minus 4x squared. Ignoring the integral, I want to just take the derivative of u. Whatever I selected as u, I'm going to take the derivative of that. Well, the derivative of u here, well, derivative of 3 is 0. The derivative of negative 4x squared would be negative 8x dx. Now this is nice because you'll notice I have negative 8x dx in the problem. And so I don't have to put anything on the inside or outside of the integral sign. And so I can simply rewrite this as the integral of, well, if u is 3 minus 4x squared, that would be, this right here is u. So that would be u to the 1/3 power. And then that negative 8x dx becomes du. Well, this is a really easy integral to solve. Now, I add 1 to the exponent and divide by that same value. So this will become u to the 4/3 divided by 4/3 plus c. And when I divide by a fraction, remember, I multiply by the reciprocal. So this will be 3/4 u to the 4/3 plus c. The last step is to replace that u with what we assigned it to be in terms of x. So the final step here is to just replace u with 3 minus 4x squared. That whole thing is being taken to the 4/3 power plus c, and we are done. Okay, so that's it. That's all you had to do. You do not have to convert that fractional exponent back into radical form. You could just leave it like that. Okay, guys, so this is another fractional exponent example. This is one where we'll have to actually add something underneath the integral sign. So we have the integral. I'm going to leave a little space there of t cubed times the quantity t to the 4th plus 5 to the 1/2 power. Well, okay, I want to swap something out here, so I'm going to choose t to the 4th plus 5 as my u. U equals t to the 4th plus 5. And I'm going to take the derivative of that. Well, the derivative of that is 4t cubed dt. I look over here, I'm looking for a t cubed, dt, and a 4. I've got my dt. I've got my t cubed. What I don't have is a 4. The 4 is missing. It would be really nice if there was a 4 there, so I'm actually going to put one there. But to make up for that, because I've now changed the value of the function, I'm going to put a 1/4 outside of the integral sign. So now everything that I've underlined in red, that all becomes du, right? So I'm going to have 1/4 times the integral of something to some power du. Well, what is that something? Well, t to the 4th plus 5 is u, so that's going to be u to the 1/2 power. Let's go ahead and take the integral now. 1/4 comes down, the fraction comes down. U to the 1/2, add 1 to the exponent, that becomes u to the 3/2 over 3/2 plus c. When you divide by a fraction, you multiply by a reciprocal, so that's like saying 1/4 times 2/3 u to the 3/2 plus c. Well, let's finish this up here. 1/4 times 2/3 would be 2/12 or 1/6. And remember, I want to swap out my u there. This will be t to the 4th plus 5 to the 3/2 power plus c. So that's my final answer. And on the next page, we'll do some with negative exponents. Okay. Okay, guys, looking at negative exponents, I'm going to do the same thing I did before. The only difference is I'm going to actually pump up the base here. So I'm going to have the integral of x times the quantity 1 plus x squared to the negative fourth power dx. So I have to choose a u. I'm going to choose what's inside these parentheses as my u. U is going to equal 1 plus x squared. The derivative of that is going to be, well, derivative of 1 is 0. The derivative of x squared is 2x dx. I look at my function here, and I don't have the 2. So I'm going to put a 2 on the inside and a 1/2 on the outside. So now everything I've underlined in red here, that all becomes du. And what I have underlined in blue here, that is u. So when I rewrite this function, I have 1/2 times the integral of u to the negative fourth power du. Well, we'll just bring that 1/2 down. Now, what is the integral of u to the negative fourth power? Well, add one of the exponent, divide by that number. So negative 4 plus 1, that'll be u to the negative third divided by negative 3. And when I multiply these together, 1/2 times that, this is basically a negative 1/3, that's going to be negative 1/6 u to the negative 3 plus c. Drop the base, so it'll be negative 1 over 6 u cubed plus c. Oops. Plus c comes out in front. And so my final answer, when I replace the u, will be negative 1 over 6 times the quantity 1 plus x squared to the third power plus c. And that's my final answer for that one. Okay, we'll now finish this up by doing one that is both negative and fractional, so kind of combining the two ideas that we did earlier today. I'll rewrite this as the integral of x cubed times the quantity 1 plus x to the fourth to the negative 1/2 power. That's a negative 1/2 power because the square root is in the denominator. I choose my u. U is going to be 1 plus x to the fourth. The derivative of that, du, is going to equal 4x cubed dx. I've got my dx, I got my x cubed. I need a 4 on the inside and a 1/4 on the outside. So now I have 1/4 times the integral of u to the negative 1/2 du. Everything underlined in red is du. So now I take the integral of u to the negative 1/2. Remember, we add 1 to the exponent. So negative 1/2 plus 1 will be, negative 1/2 plus 1 will be positive 1/2 divided by 1/2. Dividing by a fraction is like multiplying by a reciprocal. So it's going to be 1/4 times 2 over 1, u to the 1/2 power plus c. And then 1/4 times 2 would be 1/2. So I end up getting 1/2 times my quantity u, which is 1 plus x to the fourth power, to the 1/2 power plus c. There's your answer. Some guys like to write it like this just because it looks cooler. But you could write it either way here. I don't care if it's a fractional exponent or a radical. Hope that helps, guys. Have a great day.